Hi guys, it's Mike here from KS Bushcraft Down Under. Well, I was having a poke around in the shed and I picked up my old work light. So this guy here, this is just a car indicator bulb in a housing, and it's still working by the way. So I did 2 laps of Australia and that was my camp lighting system. So my entire collection of electrical gear was a headlamp, that light, a set of jumper cables, and a test light. I had no voltage measuring gear, anything like that. Twice around Australia, and a lot of those were corrugated roads back then. And for refrigeration, I had the old Esky, very similar to this one on the tailgate on the left hand side. Had to buy ice every second or third day. So I was looking at my current dual battery setup, solar blankets and all the rest of it, and all the complexity, and I realized it's been 2 years since I've had the car fridge in the back of the car. Now most of that is down to these Yeti Eskies, or coolers if you like, and recently I managed to get that little Tundra 35 with a huge block of ice to go 8 days. So in the past, my usual point between switching between a cooler and the car fridge was a long weekend, because most coolers will see you out a long weekend. Yeah, so 3 days or longer car fridge. Now in the last 2 years I've done plenty of trips away, a week, 10 days, and I still haven't put the car fridge back in. So I'm seriously beginning to think, well, there are advantages to dual battery systems. There are also disadvantages. How hardcore do you really need to be to justify the expense and the negatives, because there are negatives, okay? So I'm going to have a bit of a deep dive into, is it really practicable? It's desirable maybe, but is it really necessary or practicable, depending on how much money you want to spend to have cold drinks and food. Anyway guys, that's what we're going to look at. Okay guys, fast forward to the 2020s. This isn't all of my 12 volt stuff. So on the left, 2 red arc solar panels to give me a total of 150 watts. That'll keep my 60 litre ARB fridge going in any situation. Now the big boy is about $2,000. So if you feel like dropping $2,000 on the ground and hoping no one walks away with it, that's the thing. So the last couple of trips away, they were over a week, I didn't take the fridge because I didn't want to leave that on the ground just plugged in. Okay, so that is a crunchy as well. In the world that we live in today, do you want to leave $2,000 on the ground? Okay, so my ARB fridge these days retails for about $1,900, sometimes as low as $1,500. It weighs 31.8 kilos, and I have mine on a locking bracket so it doesn't walk away. You can throw another couple of kilos on top of that. The battery. Now I get about 3 years from a deep cycle battery, and they cost between $300 and $400, so $100 odd a year, yeah, to replace the battery. It weighs about 25 kilos, so the tray it sits on will hold it in place under the bonnet. Now to me, a dual battery must have the ability to start a car if there's a problem. Okay, $170, weighs about 5 kilos. Now the wiring, so maybe the solar panels can work, the fridge can work and all that. A few $100. I actually bought a bulk roll of this stuff and made it myself. So about 10 kilos worth of wiring. The DC to DC and solar input charger, about $350, and a couple of kilos for the charger and the wiring. So this little setup here, not including the batteryless jump pack, which I fully recommend. Fridge, all that kit together, It's nearly 100 kilograms, okay? Nearly 100 kilos. And that's 10% of the capacity of this 1-ton ute to carry, just in a car fridge setup. Now, the fridge you can lift in and out, it's a bit of a pain. That's why it doesn't go in as often as it should do. So all of those are negative. So all up my investment in the car fridge and all of this setup, it's about $6,000 in today's money. So the world's changed in the last year. Money's becoming more expensive. So if I put $5,000 in the bank at 5%, I'd get $250 a year for it. Now I'm also spending $100 a year on a battery, not to mention if nothing else wears out. Yeah. So that's a significant number, and you can buy a lot of ice with $300 a year. So I'm really pushing to see the dual battery system as a smart choice, guys. I'm really pushing it, yeah. So we'll have a look at a good esky and see the difference. Well, guys, this big boy Evercool fiberglass cooler here, that's a $550 cooler in Australia, and it's light. At 13 kilograms for a cooler of that size, it's really light, and it's certainly a high performance cooler. So the other things that the dual battery does really well is provide camp lighting. Now for me, that's really when you're cooking, yeah. So there are little alternatives. These little Goal Zero lights are brilliant and can charge your phone in a pinch. So those and a few headlamps are probably in reality all I really need, and quite often all I ever use. So we've got a $5,500 saving in not going the dual battery route and the car fridge, and just going the big cooler. It's nice and light, it's easy to carry through a doorway, so it's easy to put in and out of the car. So you're not driving around with 50 odd kilos of dual battery system when you're not using it. So I'm really finding it hard to justify the money and the weight of the dual battery system. I feel more secure in having a second battery that can start the car, so that for me might be the tipping point. If I get a vehicle that I can't have the battery under the bonnet where I can do an automatic jump start, I think that might be the deal breaker. So anyway, guys, if this type of content helps you out, helps you make good decisions that works best for you, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.